Lights, camera, debate, ignite, passion strong under the spotlight. Tune in for the clash, tune in for the spark. The critic and the cynic light up the dark.
Welcome back to The Critic and The Cynic. And this is the first of the Netflix holiday films. Okay, this one's called Meet Me Next Christmas. Alright, Meet Me Next Christmas. This came out November 6th. This, to us right now, that was like 4 days ago. So let's take a look at the premise here. The premise says, on a quest to meet the man of her dreams, a hopeless romantic races across New York City to find a ticket to a sold-out Pentatonix Christmas concert. Have you ever listened to Pentatonix?
They're acapella, right?
Yeah, acapella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely heard of them, but no, I don't exactly listen to them.
I've heard some. They were never one of my main listens. I do like acapella, but when it comes down to acapella, I'm pretty much a rockapella guy only. So the people who sang "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego," them. I like all their stuff. And then Pentatonix, they're very talented, but they were never somebody that I listened to very much. I'm a little bit worried about this film being a concert movie.
Yeah, and it does give, the poster at least gives some love triangle vibes.
Yes.
Because we have the woman front and center with two men, one on each side in the background. And that just always just makes you think, okay, we've got a little bit of a triangle. Yes.
So it could kind of go any which way. Christina Milian, that's who it was?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't ever pay much attention to her growing up. I know the name, but that's about it, you know? So Christina Milian's in it, so now we already know, casting-wise, it's much more on the recognizable list than anything we've seen in Hallmark.
Sure.
This could go either way. Once again, I said I am concerned about it being a concert-related film, but the genre is still comedy romance. Music's not on there.
True.
All right, fine, whatever. That's the first Christmas movie for Netflix.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
2 hours later.
Pentatonix the movie. You got nothing?
Oh, I was begging him to use his veto button.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's not that bad. I think in terms of, if you're gonna compare this to any of the movies that we saw previously, I would compare this to the very first movie that we saw for this entire experience, which was 'Twas the Date Before Christmas, because 'Twas the Date was about those Christmas Olympics, right? And so there's that game element that you had in that film, which you have in this one as well. There's also a comparison that I made to the Nutcracker movie that we watched as well, in terms of the plot reminds me of Jingle All the Way. Just instead of the Turbo Man doll, or in the case of the Nutcracker, what she's trying to find or get is very hard to find tickets to a Pentatonix concert. Because it is on Netflix, I noticed a very specific uptick in quality in terms of visuals. Just very slight things. It's not anything extraordinary in terms of cinematography or costume or whatever, but I did see and notice a slight interest on how colors and how lighting affect a movie, just the atmosphere of a film. There's a lot of red and a lot of gold in it, which is very holiday themed in terms of colors, and there was a much more balanced, neutral, film-like quality with the white balance, so that it actually feels like a movie, versus the Hallmark films, which to me feel like point and click. Whatever automatic settings are on a camera are what you're gonna get when they turn it on. They didn't set up their cameras or something to actually look good for movies. They do their thing.
Well, that's all true. Like, this one did feel more like a studio type movie, like just a regular Christmas movie that would come out by any of the major studios, but it was higher in quality. It didn't have that automatic cheesy TV movie feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is true. And that could just go all the way down to, frame rate, even just a slight difference in frame rate from one to the other could make all the difference. But this is kind of where I'm the critic and you're the cynic, because I'm just listing off a bunch of technical things about the movie, and I'm not talking about anything else. But you are the cynic here, and pretty much everything you were rolling your eyes off.
It was just so corny. It was the music. I couldn't. Oh God, it was awful. It's
definitely gonna make a difference for you if you are or are not either a fan of Pentatonix in general or acapella music, which I'm a fan of acapella in general, but I prefer to listen to them here and there. I don't want to listen to 2 hours of a movie where it's just non-stop acapella music. Absolutely not. And I've never really been a huge fan of Pentatonix either. I like a couple of their songs. For the most part, I don't sit there and listen to them all day like these characters do. Like, Pentatonix is all of these characters in this movie. All of them. It's their entire world. Like, they are in love and obsessed with Pentatonix. Pentatonix tickets are harder to come by than Taylor Swift. Like, it is ridiculous how much they are absolutely obsessed with this band in this film. It makes me laugh a little bit because Pentatonix is a band that people probably are aware of, but there's no way am I ever going to believe that they are that popular or as hard to come by for tickets. I lost my train of thought.
No. Well, I will say that there's really nothing wrong with this movie. You can't be like, oh, the acting is bad, or oh, the quality is bad, or the story was just not thought out. Like, none of that's true. It was just boring and not for me.
Yeah, I will say that, I was bored. One of the main issues with the film is that it's an hour and 45 minutes.
It was way too long.
Which,
I kept thinking it would be over.
An hour 45 minutes is, today, that's like the industry standard for a length of a normal movie. It's no longer an hour and a half anymore. And so when we're used to watching these Hallmark movies, which are at a max an hour and 24 minutes, seeing something that's 20 minutes longer, you feel the runtime now. It's like night and day. And if you're not a fan of Pentatonix and they annoy you, it's going to make it even worse. Mm-hmm. And obviously Pentatonix is playing a character in the film as well. They're basically playing the audience. Because they're sitting there on their phone and they're, more or less, they're watching the events of the film play out through social media. Every now and then when you watch a movie, there is going to be a main character or a side character or somebody that ultimately they're portraying the function of the audience. They are to answer questions for the audience and to relate with the audience and vice versa. If you go back and you watch Inception, that would be Elliot Page's role. Their role. Right, yeah. They know nothing about this dream world and they're getting taught every step of the way what it's all about, right? I mean, so they're the audience, and in this case, Pentatonix is the audience.
Well, and same with, if you look at Harry Potter in the same way, he knows nothing about that world of magic and wizardry.
And most of the time, you're talking about a main character that you're focusing a lot of the film on. Is the heart and the soul of the film. That's why this one's kind of weird, because Pentatonix aren't the main character. They are absolutely 110% a side character that they just shoot random times. They just shoot to them for some commentary about what's going on, while they also harmonize that commentary, because one of the running gags is weird. They always harmonize, even when they're just talking or reacting.
And that's weird.
Like, what? Which, like, if you let it go and you're just having a good time to have a good time, it's funny. But the problem comes down, any kind of comedy has the same problem. If you outlive that joke and you do it over and over and over again, it starts to become a little bit old and annoying, which I think in this case it did.
Sometimes yes, but sometimes it gets funnier every time. Like, for example, Pitch Perfect. I hated that movie the first time I saw it. I thought that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And then I watched it again, and it was a little funny.
That's true.
And then every time I've watched it since then, it's just a little bit more amusing. And now I like it. And I tried to get the kids to watch it with me, and they did not like it. But that's okay.
It's a
little bit old for them. Still,
yeah. They wouldn't appreciate it for what it is until they're older anyway. But I agree with you. It does. It gets funnier every time you watch Pitch Perfect, for sure. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you can watch this again, see if it's funny.
Okay, I didn't think anything about this movie was funny. That's the problem. I don't even think it was trying to be funny.
It was, especially when it came down to the commentary from Pentatonix. The storyline, it didn't work for me because, yes, it was about this woman essentially doing whatever she possibly can to get a ticket to see Pentatonix because she has this weird belief that this guy she met for a couple hours at was airport or something. Yeah. An airport lounge. She thinks it's going to be the one.
Well, right.
She met for a couple hours like the year before.
And that is a little bit unrealistic, though, too. I mean, who the heck gets out of a serious relationship? They break up with their long-term relationship and then immediately think about this person they met a year ago and are like, oh, yeah, well, maybe he's the one. I mean, people don't think like that. It's weird.
They don't. However, if you're one of those hopeless romantics, you like to think that's how it works.
Okay, I like my romance with a side of realism. So.
And I like my Christmas movies with a side of magic, and I've still yet to see one.
Oh, you mean you didn't think it was magic running all over the city looking for these stupid tickets?
Oh my gosh, that's not magic. That's insanity and obsession.
But she was just like, oh, look, it's a sign. Because this is like that guy I met a year ago. And I'm like, no, it's Christmas. Of course a Christmas song is playing.
That's what the joke was, because the guy she was hanging out with and who was helping her try to find these tickets was like, maybe it's just a Spotify Christmas list and it's just on there because it's a popular song. But I'm still waiting for a legit Christmas magic movie. I know it will be in Hot Frosty.
No.
Yes.
The only that one. Oh my god! I watched the trailer and I shouldn't have done that because now I'm just more horrified that I have to watch this.
It's so good. Have you seen Jack Frost?
Yes.
You did? With Michael Keaton?
Yes.
There was also a horror film that came out like the same year for some odd reason, which is like the same plot called Jack Frost.
Yeah, which was very confusing to me as a child.
Yeah, because whenever there was a couple times where I picked up that horror one at the Blockbuster Video or whatever. I was like, oh, no, wrong one. Why does he look so scary on that one? My mom would be like, no, wrong one. That was a Nickelodeon film. But I think in Hot Frosty, if I saw it correctly, his name in that is Jack.
Yep.
So Jack Frost. Again, who knows?
Okay, yeah.
It's like a remake of it.
Maybe it's Jack Frosty this time. Jesus. I just can't with that movie.
Look, find me another freaking film that we're watching during this entire experience, this marathon of Christmas films that has magic, because for some reason none of them do.
Okay, well, it's not on the list, but that one with Jack Black where the kid actually wrote to Satan instead of Santa, and yeah, like that one looks good.
Dear Santa, I feel like we should watch that if it's possible and have like our own episode on that alone.
Well, because we're talking about Jack Black, so you know that's going to be funny.
Yeah, I love Jack Black. Even if some movies aren't the best, he's usually good in them.
Well, he's always amazing.
But now we're getting off topic, because whatever happened to Meet Me Next Christmas? Okay, we gotta talk about Well, actually, I already said some positives. I don't know if you agreed with the positives for the most part.
Well, I agreed that it was definitely higher quality, higher caliber, whatever you want to call it, but...
And Pentatonix are talented. I'm not going to say they're not talented. If you're a fan of acapella, they are, they're up there. They are what I consider to be the modern rockapella. Now, rockapella was more my jam, not so much Pentatonix, but they are both talented in their own right. So, what would you rate it?
Like 45.
Oh, God. Now, you're looking at the time duration of the film, and you're saying an hour 45. Yes, let's rate it 45.
Highest would be like 50, okay? Like, I don't ever want to think about this movie again.
Look, I'm giving it a 65 again. Because, look, higher quality, it deserves respect. We had a bigger name in there, whether you're talking about Pentatonix or Milan. The main issues that I had with it, there's no chemistry. Do you think there's chemistry? Because I didn't really sense it. I think it was a problem with acting, more so than chemistry.
She had chemistry with the guy that she thought she was gonna, be her soulmate. There was that immediate connection there, but that was intentional. Mm-hmm. And I think that the guy that she spent all the time with during the movie, I think it was more of a back and forth friendship that, was kind of just surprised both of them, really. Mm-hmm. And I think that was okay. I think that was portrayed well. And I think the chemistry kind of moved along that track. So I don't think there wasn't chemistry. I just think that it was intentionally not supposed to be romantic right off the bat.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess when it comes down to chemistry, you sensed it more than I did, which is interesting for your 45% score.
Well, because chemistry or no chemistry, I did not like this movie.
All right. Well, again, I'm going to give it 65. I think in general, in terms of what they were going for, they achieved. I think that the higher caliber of quality should be recognized, and I do recognize it. It's not my favorite because I'm not a huge fan of Pentatonix, and it's like everybody's obsession with Pentatonix being like apparently the only band on the planet is what it seemed like. Was
they mentioned Macklemore.
Really weird. They did, yes.
So, I mean, it couldn't be the only band on the planet.
But apparently they're not good enough. So...
No, actually, they kind of dissed him.
Yeah.
So, it's fine.
So, I'm sticking with my 65, but we have 2 more movies to discuss this week.